Hey, good evening. Good evening. I'm here to drop another Jew on some expungement advice for the state of California. So what I'm going to do is give you guys a step-by-step guide on how to. Um, this is for specifically for Placer County, for the courthouse in Roseville, California. I know I did a part one and part two earlier on some expungement results, but I want to give you guys a rundown on how to deal with Placer County from the beginning to the end because they have new regulations in regards to confidential information. So I'm working with one of my friends that need his record expunged. This is pretty much the forms. I'm not going to put his information out there. So, of course, you're going to need the petition for dismissal. It's 3 pages. So, page one, page two, and page three. So, the first page, of course, you're going to put your client's name, or if you're a lawyer, or if you're a paralegal, or anything like that, you're going to put the client's name up here. You're going to put the charges that they pled guilty to, and of course, you're going to put the date that they got convicted of, and if they was on probation or parole, and you want to explain the reason why down there. And then you're going to have your order for dismissal. Again, you're going to put your client's name or your name up here, your name and birthday, and you'll keep it blank. So the first form is the CR 180. The second form is CR 181. And then you're going to do a proof of civil service. Of course, your name or your lawyer's name is going to be here. The client's name, how you're going to send it off. Either you're going to mail it or are you going to hand it to them. You're going to put, can't be filled out by you, got to be filled by somebody else. So you're going to put their name and address here, and they're going to sign and date there. So, so the stipulations of Placer County as of 2025 of this month, you don't have to send in a fee waiver. So they pretty much, the reason why they not accepting any fee waivers is because a lot of people are trying to get their record expunged, and according to this bill SB 713, they pretty much is, if you meet the qualifications, they are expunging your record under certain conditions. Of course, you have to look into SB 713 to see what is the qualifications for that. But just to give you an overview on SB 713, it was a measure that was passed by the Governor Gavin Newsom that automatically expunged certain felonies and certain misdemeanors through the Department of Justice. But I'm going to tell you guys this right now. It don't automatically expunge your record. You got to take things that's been passed by state and federal law with a grain of salt. They doing it by case basis, and it's not automatic. You know, they might, like I said before, they might do 1 record a day, 5 records a day, 10 records a day, 10,000 records a day. It just depends on when they want to push the button to delete your record. They're not in a rush to push the button to delete your record because, they can't use your past against you no more. They can't say, hey, well, in 2012 you committed this crime, that's why I'm gonna give you more time on your sentence. So they doing a little bit at a time. So you have to really take things that these politicians do with a grain of salt. It ain't they have the ability to push one button and delete everything, but they're not going to do it because they can't give you more time if you don't have no record compared to if you have a record and you commit another crime. They can say you're a repeat felon, and that's all that, I'm going to give you 10 years instead of 5 years because you did this in the past. So they're not in a rush. I'm sorry to break it down to you. I'm just tell you how it is. I'm very familiar with the law, very familiar with the justice system. I'm very familiar with politicians, and I'm very familiar how the court system go. They give more time to people who don't have nothing compared to who have something. So they're not in a rush to delete nothing off your record because they won't get that 10 years out of you, where they compared to somebody else commit the crime, they only got, a little bit of history. So now, the one thing I dislike about Placer County is they not as good when it comes to communication. They tend to not send you your court date in a timely manner. They usually do it at the last minute, and to me, that's very unprofessional. The reason why I consider that very unprofessional is because if I send in this form, and right here it says for court use only, right? And they have to file it, and then usually when they file it, they're supposed to give you a court date and then send it to you back in the mail to say, hey, you got court January 10, 2026, in Department 23 at 9 a.m. They don't send it to you in time, and I'm gonna give you 2 reasons why they don't send it to you in times. Number one is because they're backed up with motions and court calendars, from the pandemic. They got to catch back up. And number two is so many people filing paperwork trying to get their record expunged. And we got different, you got civil, you got criminal, you have probate. You have all these different departments that's receiving mail and motions from attorneys and paralegals and freelance paralegals and people like me who has my own business who trying to get people record expunged so they can move on with their life. And they only have so much court staff. So they tend to send you a court date at the last minute. And to me, that's unprofessional because let's say if you work a 9 to 5 and you're really trying to get your life together, and then they send you this notification saying that you have court in January 10th and you don't get the notice of January 1st. And then you got to damn near, go to your job and say, hey, you know what? I just got court out of nowhere. And your employee's looking at you like, why didn't you tell me this in December or November that you got court in January? Well, I just got it. Then he gonna look at you like, what do you mean you just got it? The courts sending stuff last minute. Yes, the courts deal with last minute. I've dealt with plenty of counties in the state of California. It's backed up, and they tend to send things very last minute. If you don't got nobody there that you know that's going to actually walk to another department and then actually pick your stuff up out the mail and then work on your case specifically, then you're going to have to wait that 3 to 4 weeks. Like, for example, this is like based on a true story. I was calling to check the status on the client. Remember, I told you guys the Placer County, you have to send an identification along with the record search form in order for them to even give you any action on any legal matter, especially when it comes to expungement because they consider it classified information. So one of the court clerks had to walk over to another department and then cipher through all the mail and then send off my results for both of my clients. That's why if you looked at part 1 and part 2, I had to pretty much manually have her do it for me, and she sent off my stuff. If I wouldn't have called, then I wouldn't have got nothing back till like December, November. She said it's like a 4 to 6 month thing where they actually going through the mail. It's that crazy in the Placer County courts. So, number one, let's do an overview. You do not have to send in the fee waiver for Placer County. You just send in the CR 181, the CR 182, and the proof of civil service, right? So 3 pages, 2 pages, and 1 page instead of 3 pages, 2 pages, 2 pages, and 1 page, right? So they're lighting the load up on your fingers. Number 2, be prepared for them to not send your court date to you damn near close to having court like literally the same day of. I'm being dramatic, but really that's how it is because they're so backed up. And number 3, they're not going to send you your order for dismissal automatically. Like usually a lot of counties, it's like a 50-50, no lie. I worked with all different type of counties. It's like a 50-50. Like all the clients that have worked with and they got their record expunged, we don't find out for 2 or 3 weeks later because I have to handwrite a letter to the court to say, hey, my client had court in January. It's now March. Can you give me the status of the order for dismissal? And then they'll send it to me. But if I didn't write them, if you don't write them and let them say, hey, my name is such and such, my case number is such and such, I had court date on this such and such, you're pretty much not getting anything. So you're pretty much waiting in the limbo. So me, I care about my clients. I'll be on these courts behind. Like what I usually do is I find out their court date and then I give them like 2 or 3 weeks and then I write a letter and say, hey, I need the status of this court case. This is the court case number. This is the person name, date of birth, and these are the charges. Something real nice. I'm just freestyling here. And then I usually get something back in the mail. So that's how you deal with Placer County. You're going to fill out your forms, 3 pages plus 2 plus 1. And then you're going to pretty much have to be on their behinds. You got to call them and say, hey, I've filled out these forms. When do I have a court date? They might tell you if you have a court date. They might not. Or you have to pretty much just, write letters. And hopefully you don't have to send in your ID. Like, it's just a mess. When you do have a court date, majority of the time, it's handled behind. It's administrative review. So sometimes they don't want you to come to court. Sometimes what I mean by administrative review, that means that it's handled behind chambers, meaning that it gets sent to the judge look over it, such and such, okay, he meets the qualifications, he's not on probation or parole, he's not in jail, he don't have no bail recommendation from the probation department, okay, I'm gonna grant it. And then it goes to the clerk, and then the clerk files it, and then you have to pretty much follow up on your own because it's because the judge that handle, because some counties from experience, they have certain judges that deal with specifically on expungements, but sometimes it gets tied into a judge that does with criminal too. So he dealing with in custody matters and out of custody matters. So when it's handled administrative, meaning behind closed doors or in chambers, he look at it like, okay, well, he meet the qualifications, okay, boom, on to the next case. Or he don't meet the qualifications, denied, on to the next case. You got to think like a judge and a DA. It's not like a trial where they have like an in custody matter, and the judge like, okay, well, according to case number 62-1107673, the state of California versus such and such, this is for trial. It's just more of like he gonna ask the district attorney, well, what do you think about this person being granted for this particular case? The DA gonna be like, well, either he's gonna deny it or grant it, right? And it's based off of multiple different factors. It can be off a probation report, times of it can be anything that in regards to probation violation, anything. If so, the DA is like, you know what, I granted, I don't have nothing going on. If you want to amend the paperwork or anything like that, he'll look over it and see how you've been doing. Okay, well, I granted. Judge will be like, oh, I granted. And then this is whatever. It goes to the clerk, and then you have to pretty much follow from there. So that's just a little rundown how Placer County works. If you have any questions in regards to any other counties in the state of California, you can contact me on TikTok, Paralegal Nation. You can contact me on my Facebook page, Paralegal Nation as well, my personal Instagram page, Mr.Amani1985. You can also email me, info@paralegalnation.biz. You can go to my website, www.paralegalnation.biz, or you can call me directly at 1-877-799-1506. You guys have a nice afternoon.